Morphin time! Yeah!
On Earth, everyone is protected in the force field and King Eridan starts his attack to try to destroy the force field, but he doesn't manage to do anything about it. King Eridan talks about King Mondo, the leader of the Machine Empire, and says that he is going to steal his place in the Dark Speeder group. Inside the force field, Matthew tries to convince the others by saying that he should go out to stop the attack, but Zordon and Grace tell him that if the force field holds out then he should stay inside until the other Rangers arrive. Grace tries to explain to him that if he sends him out to stop the attack, it would be unnecessary since the shield is holding up so well. Because of the whole situation, Rocky decides to take his brothers to the power chamber, so they don't have to see everything that is going on. After so much time attacking the shield, King Eridan decides to use a more powerful weapon to destroy the force field but decides to continue attacking with the other weapons even though they are not working, just to make everything more dramatic. In the power chamber, Rocky is with his brothers and sisters. At that moment Matthew arrives and tries to talk a little with the kids to get them to think about something else. He also asks Rocky to talk and tells him that he is coming out, and even though Rocky offered his help, Matthew refused as he knows that Zordon has a rule that no Ranger can reveal his identity and Rocky's family would know. Before Matthew goes out to fight, Zordon tells him that he was wrong in his choices as Matthew is just like Tommy. Zordon did not choose him to be a Power Ranger, yet both have been able to be good Rangers. In addition to this, Zordon shows his support for him to be a Ranger. The other Rangers are now on the planet Leonis, a planet located in the Lion Galaxy, where they have a hidden command center, and the king of this planet has in his body the device that makes the command center undetectable. The king is going to have a party and the Rangers must enter and be near the king for 4 minutes in order to deactivate the device with another device invented by Billy. At the party, Aisha and Tommy must go in, but Adam and Kimberly must go into a security tower to disable the satellites that prevent the Rangers from transporting the command center to Earth. Billy says that Alpha 5 must go with Aisha and Tommy to the party as he must help them disable the security system in order to get inside, and then he will provide support inside. Tommy disagrees with this idea as Alpha is known throughout the galaxy and that would give them away. Alpha 5 replies that he has a disguise, but Tommy still doesn't want Alpha to go with them. On Earth, King Eridan meets the Green Ranger and thinks he is Tommy when he was still Rita's servant. The king tells the Green Ranger that if he allows him to destroy everything and torture Zordon for many years then perhaps he will spare his life. The Green Ranger makes it clear to him that he is not Tommy, and he does not accept this request as well, and then the battle begins. We can clearly see that the king is very powerful and starts to beat up Matthew. On planet Leonis, Aisha and Tommy are at the palace where the king is going to have the party and realize that they can't enter through the main entrance, so they decide to enter through the hard way. When they manage to get in, they steal the costumes of other guests, and at that moment the king is talking to his guests. Tommy interrupts him and tries to have a conversation with him, but the king realizes that Tommy doesn't know anything about what he is talking about, so he starts asking him questions, suspecting that Tommy shouldn't be at that party. At that moment, Tommy is saved by Alpha 5, who mysteriously managed to enter the party disguised as a stylist. Back on Earth, the Green Ranger continues to battle, and inside the shield, Rocky, Grace, and Dr. Zaskin try to find a solution to help Matthew. King Aridin and his entire army are robots, so Rocky has the idea that maybe they can shut them down like any other electronic device. Dr. Zaskin has the idea of inventing a device that they can point at King Aridin and shut him down. While the Green Ranger is having a tough battle, Rocky tells him that they need the Dragon Dagger for a few seconds, and this was unexpected for Matthew since that was his only weapon at the time, but he decides to trust Rocky and looks to dodge all the blows without his weapon. After that, they return the gun to Matthew with the new device attached to the dagger and tell him to aim it at King Aridin. At that moment, Matthew aims it at the king and gives him a big pulse shock to try to shut down the machines, but even though it was a hard hit to the king, it still did nothing to him. After the blow, the king gets up and tells the Green Ranger that they are automaton machines and can't shut them down easily, and then starts attacking him again. Rocky is getting desperate as he wants to help his partner and tells Zordon that he must break his rules about identity. Zordon replies to him that his rules have to change, and the new rule is that no Ranger dies. With this, Zordon gives Rocky permission to go out and fight alongside Matthew, but first he goes to talk to his brothers and sisters to say goodbye and tells them he has to go do something important. The Red Ranger leaves the force field, and a new battle is about to begin. In Safe Haven, Zack is still trying to calm the new alien girl who keeps growing at an impressive speed and has big changes in several hours very quickly. Trini went in search of food and Zack is left alone in the house trying to take care of the girl, but she keeps crying non-stop. Zack keeps trying to give her food, but the little girl throws all the food everywhere and Zack doesn't know what he is doing. At that moment, Trini arrives, and the girl stops crying, and it seems that she feels calmer around her. Trini tells Zack that she is still running tests in the capsule where the girl was to get more information about her, but the process is going to take several days. This scares Zack because with the speed at which the girl is growing in a couple of days, she could be an old woman. At that moment, Zack confesses to Trini that he named the girl, who is now going to be called Journey, but she gets very angry since they had made the decision not to get attached to the girl since they are not her real parents, and they are only taking care of her. Trini and Zack begin to argue, but the girl starts to talk and tries to say her name and causes a lot of affection in Trini. On planet KO-35 are Jason, Andrus, and Yale searching for the central base of the Zurichs, the aliens who destroyed this planet. Jason feels a little angry that he has given Andrus his full trust, but he still hasn't told Jason where they are going and what they are looking for. After almost 2 days of searching, the Rangers find the Zurich's base, which is full of soldiers and prisoners from the planet. Andrus tells Jason what the plan is, and that is that they are going to infiltrate the place and neutralize the vigilantes silently and then seek to free the prisoners. Jason asks Andrus what happened on the planet, and he replies that Dark Spectre recruited the Zurichs to wipe out the planet since Zordon was helping the inhabitants develop Ranger technology. Andrus says that he and Zane were part of the Rangers and were to share Ranger technology with other nearby planets to create an alliance. Apparently, Dark Spectre had the same idea and sent the Zurichs to destroy everything. After that, they sent a swarm of insects that turned all the people into monsters, and the survivors had to fight against their own people. Andrus tried to protect the people who survived, but several days ago he went to look for food, and when he came back, the people were gone. The Zurichs are going to continue to take everything that is left of the planet, and when they have everything, then they will execute all the survivors and then leave. Andrus very angrily tells Jason that it doesn't matter if there are 1 million Zurich soldiers, tonight they are going to win the battle. Back in Safe Haven, Journey is still growing up and is now getting into lots of mischief like any 5-year-old girl. Then, Zack takes her for a walk and tries to teach her new words, and Journey continues to learn, but just then, an animal from the planet appears and tries to attack them. Zack transforms and grabs the girl and starts to run, but turns around and manages to kick the animal, which leaves in pain, and Journey looks like she enjoyed the whole adventure, but Zack asks her not to say anything to Trini. It is already night in KO 35, and it is time for Jason, Andrus, and Yale to enter the base to save the prisoners. The Zurich's vigilantes realize that there is something strange at the water exit, and at that moment, Andrus shoots one of the vigilantes with his blaster. The other one tries to escape, but Andrus also shoots him after the vigilante had already given the alert. Now, we can see the Ranger suit that Andrus has, which is a different suit than the one we have already seen for years. This new suit is completely black and has a different symbol on the chest. Andrus wants them to split up, but Jason insists that they should stay together since this is just a mission to rescue the survivors. Andrus continues to insist that he wants to attack the Zurichs and show them the same mercy they have shown. Just then, the Rangers are attacked by a group of Zurich soldiers, and Jason tells Yale that he knows what he must do. The battle begins, and Andrus begins to attack the Zurichs without mercy and with a great thirst for revenge. Jason realizes this and tries to stop him, telling him that he must remember that they are only there to rescue the survivors. At that moment, Yale arrives with all the rescued prisoners who attacked the Zurichs. Andrus is confused and doesn't know how this happened, and Jason tells him that this happened remembering that it was a rescue mission. Back in Safe Haven, Zack is teaching Journey how to play a sport they have on that planet. A family passes by the same place who also have a little girl just like them, and the family stops to say hello to the Rangers and talk a little with Journey as well. When the family leaves, Journey realizes that they are all the same, but she doesn't look like Zack and Trini. Because of this, she asks them why she is different. Trini decides to tell her the truth and tells her that they are not her real parents and that her real family may be dead, or maybe there is also a possibility that they are still alive. In addition to this, she also promises him that they will take care of her and keep searching until they find her real family. At that moment, Zack receives a call from Kimberly, who is on another planet and apparently gives the Rangers some bad news. On KO-35, the survivors board a ship to escape the planet and seek refuge, at which point Andrus says goodbye, but Jason asks him to go with him to safe haven. Andrus then tells Jason that during the invasion the Zurich stole the Astro megaship, which contained most of the Ranger technology, including several prototype morphers. If Dark Spectre finds this technology, then the Morphin grid will be at risk. Andrus says goodbye to Tikwa and has a conversation with her as he apparently has a secret plan that the Rangers cannot know about. Part of that secret mission is to save Zane and make Dark Spectre pay for everything he did to this planet. Now, Jason talks Eleven into opening the portal that takes them back to Safe Haven, and on the other side are Zack and Trini waiting for Jason to give him the bad news Kimberly told them. Trini is crying and Zack doesn't know how to tell Jason what was going on. Finally they tell him that his mom had passed away. Tommy, Aisha, and Alpha 5 are on planet Leonis at the party of the king trying to complete the mission to get the location of the command center they have hidden there. Alpha saves Tommy as he starts talking to the king, and he believes everything that Alpha is saying, who is disguised as a stylist. At that moment, Billy sends a message to Aisha and tells her that he already has all the data he needs and can get Tommy and Alpha out of the place. Although Aisha was enjoying Alpha's performance, she interrupts the conversation and manages to get them out of the place. On Earth, Rocky joins Matthew to fight King Aridin in a tough battle. The Rangers are trying to buy time to wait for the other Rangers who are on planet Leonis. Matthew is fighting the king and Rocky must take out all the other robots. Unfortunately, the king is very powerful and is beating the crap out of Matthew. The king has the Green Ranger lying on the ground about to finish him off, and Rocky saves him by firing his blaster. The two continue to fight and try to stick to the plan so they can give the other Rangers more time. In Leonis, Kimberly and Adam are in the planet's security tower to try to disable the satellites in order to teleport the command center. Adam helps Kimberly go down to a place full of laser beams that can trigger the alarm, but she deactivates them by launching an arrow with great precision. They manage to enter the place and neutralize the guards. Then they encounter a janitor who continues to do his job and doesn't bother the Rangers. After neutralizing several guards, they reach the security center and start looking for the button to turn off the satellites. Meanwhile, Kimberly is surprised that Adam has learned how to be a Power Ranger very quickly and feels that she is not that important since they can easily replace her. Adam tells her that she shouldn't feel that way, she should look at it from another point of view. If other people can replace her, then she doesn't have the weight of the security of the universe on her shoulders. Any day she can retire and move on with her life, as nothing lasts forever, and someday, she won't be a Power Ranger anymore. The war on Earth continues, and the king takes advantage of Rocky's back and launches an attack, but Matthew throws himself at him and is shot. The attack was so powerful that they both destroy a rock, and a cave is formed where they begin to talk about what to do next. The king is very powerful, and they are both badly hurt. Matthew can no longer get up and Rocky begins to feel that he doesn't have the power to defeat the king. Matthew tells Rocky that he is very strong despite being under so much pressure from the invasion. He still hasn't stopped taking care of his family. With those words, Rocky regains his strength and stands up ready to continue fighting, but before he leaves, Matthew gives him the power of the dragon. Rocky goes out to fight and quickly breaks the king's weapon with his sword and the dragon dagger at the same time. On the other planet, the Rangers find the command center and prepare to make the biggest teleportation in the history of the universe. Rocky is still fighting, and even though the king no longer has any weapons, he is still very powerful and hard to defeat. The other Rangers are still preparing, and Tommy is a little scared as it is a very complicated mission, but Billy tells him that they have everything under control. The king has Rocky on the floor almost defeated and already wants to finish him off, but Rocky keeps resisting while the other Rangers are about to do the teleportation. At that moment, the king grabs Rocky by the helmet, but Rocky doesn't give up and tells him that he's not going to let it go, so the king tells him that he's going to bury him there and throws him hard against the ground. At that moment, the Rangers start the teleportation from planet Leonis, and the plan that Billy and Grace have is that the rubble of the old command center is moved 1 kilometer to the west and the new command center is teleported to the same place where the old one was. Despite the heavy impact, Rocky gets up and the king grabs his broken gun to throw at Rocky. The king tells Rocky that he is finished and defeated, but Rocky replies that the plan the Rangers have is going to work. The king mockingly asks him about the plan, and Rocky replies that on Earth we call it stalling. At that precise moment, all the Rangers arrive: Tommy, Kimberly, Billy, Adam and Aisha, along with the command center in one of the most epic moments I have ever seen. At that moment, Rocky tells the king that the Earth will always be protected and that he should leave right now and to tell all of his friends. At that moment, the king quickly leaves in his ship into space, while Rocky enters the power chamber to see his family. All his brothers and sisters hugged him, very relieved that it's all over now. His sister tells him that she is proud of him in a roundabout way by making him understand that she knows his secret. Now they are all together in the new command center, and Tommy tells Grace and Matthew that even though they don't have the best relationship, he is still very grateful for all the help they have given them and for protecting their home. Matthew tells Tommy that he only served as support since Rocky did the most important work. Aisha asks if they should start worrying about Lord Zed's location since they don't know anything about him. Zordon tells her that they should worry about that another time, and for now they should just enjoy the great mission they have all done. At that moment, Rocky interrupts the conversation to ask about Alpha's location since he didn't come with the Rangers, and Grace asks about the ship he loaned them. Billy tells them that Alpha is on his way back from planet Leonis with the ship and should arrive soon. The Rangers, instead of teleporting the command center along with the ship, apparently decided to have Alpha fly the ship to Earth. At that point, Kimberly gets a call and says they need to call the Omega Rangers. Adam thinks they want to have a party to celebrate having a new command center, but the call was for something else. Those who saw the previous episode know that the Omega Rangers got a call from Kimberly, and it was to tell Jason that his mom had passed away. The mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Omega Rangers are all on Earth at Jason's mother's funeral. After the ceremony at the cemetery, Everyone gathers at Jason's house to support the family. At that moment, Ernie, who tends the juice bar, approaches Jason to give him words of support and tells him that one day he saw his mother hiding watching Jason teach some kids. Ernie offers his full support, then leaves in tears, and Jason continues to greet everyone else. Outside the house are the other Rangers talking about the cause of death of Jason's mother, and at the end Kimberly said that Jason's father revealed to her that it was due to a heart arrhythmia. In Safe Haven, there is Andrus and Eleven with Azurix, which they have him as a prisoner to try to get information about Dark Spectre's plans, but despite all their efforts, the Azurix does not tell them anything. The prisoner takes the opportunity to try to humiliate Andrus by telling him that the people of his planet were cowards because they had invaded another planet which was less developed and the people were able to defend themselves, but the people of KO-35 hid like cowards. Andrus and Eleven leave the prisoner's room, and Eleven apologizes to Andrus for not being able to help him and get information out of the prisoner, but Andrus tells him that they can try again tomorrow. Then they say goodbye and Eleven thinks Andrus is going to sleep, but in reality, he came back with the prisoner and pulls him out of his energy shield to have another kind of dialogue without witnesses. On Earth, Jason is trying to talk to his father, but his father constantly ignores him, and Jason realizes this. In the end, they have a small argument, and the father tells him that he is going to sell the house and move out, that he doesn't need Jason and that everyone should live their lives as they want. At the juice bar, Zach gets a call from Journey, who is now the size of a 10-year-old girl despite being only a week old. Journey is performing a magic act and the Rangers are enjoying the show. Then, Zach says goodbye to Journey and tells her it's time for bed. At that point, he begins to have a conversation with Aisha, who asks him if they are ready to leave Journey when they find their planet. At the GYM are Trini, Jason and Tommy working out and talking about King Aridin, who almost defeated the Rangers. Tommy and Trini are very concerned about Jason's emotional health and tell him he can take a few days off to rest, but Jason tells them he is in good health and wants to keep working. The next day in Safe Haven, Eleven and Andrus return to talk to the prisoner, who by some coincidence is very beaten and now wants to cooperate by providing all the information he can. The prisoner makes several confessions and talks about the possible location of the Astro megaship. After that, Eleven locks him in a kind of space chest similar to the same one Zordon used to lock Rita in. He then takes the chest to a giant vault where there are many chests and tells him that he will be safe there until he is judged in an SPD court. Despite everything, the chest seems to have an open lid and a light comes out of it. Then, the prisoner's voice is heard calling Andrus and asking him to get him out of there. Andrus appears and tells him that he must activate the device he gave him in order to teleport inside. Now they are both inside the vault and the prisoner starts telling Andrus that he fulfilled his part of the deal and now he must fulfill his part and get him out of there to be free. Suddenly, Andrus begins to hear a voice telling him that revenge is a great ally, but the Zurix doesn't hear the voice and thinks Andrus has gone mad. At that moment, the Zurix gets very angry that Andrus is ignoring him and tries to attack him, but Andrus takes him out with his blaster. Andrus keeps hearing the voice and starts to follow it to find out where it is coming from. That voice starts to tell him that it was waiting for him and that it had been there in the dark for thousands of years. At the command center, Jason and Zordon are having a conversation about everything that needs to be improved so that the same thing that happened on planet KO-35 doesn't happen again. Then, this conversation gets a little awkward as Zordon tries to give Jason words of support and tells him he can take a few days off. Jason gets angry and tells him that everyone is treating him like he is bad, but he really has nowhere else to go and nothing else to do. He also tells Zordon that he is a little jealous of Andrus because even though he lost everything, at least he has someone to blame and take it out on. He lost his mother and can't do anything about it. Back in Safe Haven, we can see that Andrus is still chasing the voice and entering deep into the darkness of the vault. The voice gets louder and louder until he finally manages to find the chest where the voice is coming from. This chest is different from the others. It is isolated and chained, which gives us a clear reference that what is inside is very dangerous. The voice says that he was able to defeat death, and this is why Andrus wants to free him to help him defeat Dark Spectre. The voice tells him that he will do that and much more. It also tells him that Andrus has seen the face of death, and with loss comes understanding and power. It also tells him something very important, and that is that long ago he was one of those chosen to protect the universe forever, and he has some unfinished business. Andrus then breaks the chains and opens the chest to see that what is inside is a gauntlet just like the Omega Rangers.